Yo, what is up, guys? I'm here to drop 7 high-end tips for min-maxing your Diablo IV experience. I've got a lot of hours researching the closed beta. I'm a god in D2 Classic. I've sold access to BVB calculators and stuff like that for years now. In this D4 beta, I hit 25 on a barb before any streamer I could find hit level 20 on any class. So I kind of know what I'm doing. If you're interested in watching me stream when D4 comes out, I'm going to be streaming every day, and right now I have literally 0 followers, which is really demotivating. So please drop me a follow, put me on your Discord, whatever. Maybe other people will find this video and want to follow me and just come hang out. My Twitch channel is twitch.com/WorldsBestDiabloPlayer. Really easy to remember. I'll put a link in the description. Anyway, on to the tips. Tip number 1. If you're a hardcore player and you get in a sticky situation in a dungeon, logging out takes a full 10 seconds. So instead of logging out or trying to TP out, which takes like 5 seconds and cancels if you take damage, open the quest menu, open the map, and then the quest menu, and hit reset dungeons. It instantly leaves the dungeon, even in combat, and you will be teleported right to the front of that dungeon. So if you're like on a druid or a low mobility character that can't get away from the butcher, and you're not geared real well or something at that moment, you're not ready for him, just reset the dungeon instead of dying on hardcore. Tip number 2, don't try to hit level 100 fast. You will start to get level 100 up sooner if you do that, but even without grinding, you still hit 100 in just a few days, and your overall efficiency will be lower if you try to power level. Those 2 days are kind of wasted because in some ways, even normal 1 difficulty can actually be better instead of veteran 2 without slowing your actual character progression, even if your level is lower. Because XP doesn't matter as much, because by the time you finish all the delves, quests, statues, one of each nightmare dungeon, the marauder things, and getting hell tide only crafting materials, farming crafting materials, making your instances, getting ready for PvP, or getting ready for pushing tier dungeons, you're gonna be level 100 anyway, guaranteed. So on your first character, don't power level. Save that for all your alts after that, where you'll want to power level. There's no power creep at endgame besides the item chase. That's the only thing. There's no paragon. There's no like getting from like 99 to 100 doesn't take forever like in D2. And because of this, actually, you don't need to kill mobs. You can run past them like I'm doing in this. I messed up in this recording and I was looking way back at the beginning for something that's... Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, you only ever really need to usually kill like 1 target to progress in a quest or a dungeon anyway. Like in this one, I'm just killing skeletal constructs right now, and I don't need to kill all this stuff. It's better to have that than a high damage build, and killing everything you see is pointless, pretty much. I mean, XP is always nice, but really it's not a huge deal. Tip number 4... actually tip number 3 is stop looking at build guides. They're also essentially pointless. Almost everything in Diablo 4 is very viable. It depends on it's not like D2 or 3 where you plan a build, then gear for it and keep pushing for it and trying to get those specific items. You know where to get those specific runes to make a rune word. You know what quests to do in D3 to get this the ideal set for your build. It's not like that at all. It's very, very fluid. Your optimal build at any time depends on what gear you find, what content you're doing, as in like... are you about to go to the boss room? It's better even mid-dungeon to switch if you know the dungeons, and you're about to go kill like that freaking blood spawn guy that will root you, and you need to have unstoppable on your bar. You need to have things like that. So you can switch your bars anytime, and you should be switching your bars at least every time you level. if not every time you pick up an item that's slightly better for a slightly different build. It takes 2 seconds, get really familiar with your skill trees, and just swap out your builds real quick every time you find a good item. It will save you a lot of time in the long run, and so stop looking at build guides. They're completely pointless and will really slow you down a lot if you're trying to shoot for a specific build. It's there are some things that do matter, like Thorns is really powerful on a barb all the way until about level 80. Almost everybody that's a barbarian will want to run Thorns. It's just the best in slot. It's the best way to level a barbarian because they get so much boosted Thorns. It'll probably get nerfed before or rebalanced in a way that it benefits you more late game, hopefully too. It'll hopefully get rebalanced before the release, so you don't really have to, but like from level 30 to 80, Thorns is awesome on a barbarian. On a druid, they suck. Leveling is horrible. They're super low damage, super low mobility. Thorns is another way to get damage. So on a druid, you want Thorns until really late game, where you're more of a tanky support character usually anyway, unless you get like the landslide legendary that doubles the damage on it, and then yada yada. Anyway, stop looking at builds. They're really stupid, really pointless. All these people that are releasing build videos have no idea what they're talking about, because this game is not a game where you make builds for leveling. Even endgame, it all depends on like a really well-rolled unique, which brings me to tip number 4 actually. Tip number 4, a really well-rolled unique is super uncommon and very build defining. The item chase in this game is it's everything. So yeah, I guess that's all I need to say on that. So play what you want, and then once you find a really cool item, make a cool build around it. The game is fun because of that. If you come into it expecting it to be D2, you won't have as much fun. You're going to be like, this is it. But if you come into it knowing that like you get to experience all this stuff and what you're doing changes what you should be doing, like it's a really cool, really fun game. So anyway, don't get stuck on a build. Tip number 5, if you dash, this one might not work for everybody depending on like your internet and stuff, but if you dash with a turbo, you can actually double dash on client side, and it will client justify and go through. So you can theoretically turn every dash charge into double the distance. It will double dash. It doesn't work every time for me. I'm not sure what the trick is. When I'm using controller, I can't do it, but if I get like really fast clicks on spacebar with the turbo thing, it'll work. So anyway, there's that. I'm not sure what the trick is exactly, if there's like a specific speed, but if someone can figure that out, they'll have a pretty fat speed advantage, especially in the very beginning where the dash is like your only real movement speed advantage. Tip number 6, for competitive PvP, it is usually better to use a controller than mouse and keyboard. Just like in D2R actually, which most people still haven't realized for some reason. People are like so anti-controller. It's disturbing how big of a disadvantage it is in D2R, like for Blizzsork and for a lot of builds actually. Controller is way superior to mouse now. So yeah, this does not apply to world PvP. Not competitive PVM usually, but just competitive PvP like duels and PKing. It does also apply to some tier dungeon pushing for a few specific builds too. So it's worth trying if you like controller and haven't tried it yet. It allows you to engage in multiple things at once that is basically impossible to achieve in the same time frame on a mouse. Of course, if you're not used to a controller, the mouse might still be better for you, but it is a disadvantage in this game for specific usage. I'm just going to restart that clip so there's something going on in the background. And that brings me to the 7th and final tip, which is probably, it may be the biggest tip if you're a non-botting farmer / power leveler. If you're upset about controllers being better, you're not going to like this tip. But tip number 7 is that on console, you can multi-box 2 accounts really easily. On PC, you can open 2 windows without Process Explorer or anything, no multi-loader needed. But it's not as good as on console. But for D4, you can open it, but it's still not as good as on console for multi-boxing. Consoles actually have a teleport-style auto-follow for the lead player. So if you're playing like a Necro and a Sorcerer, Necros have like horrible movement mobility. They will always be behind a Sorcerer. Sorcerer, especially once you get your cooldown reductions and everything, and you can just teleport all day, and the Necro will never be able to catch you. In PvP, Sorcerers are stupid because you can't kill them. Especially, they need to remove Unstoppable from teleport. They just need to. They're broken as heck right now because you can't kill them. They kind of, even if they suck, you can't kill them, which is stupid. But anyway, you can have a Necro with like summons and 2 curses and 2 like attacks, and then you can literally just push those 4 buttons in with your foot, like just mash those buttons, and your Necromancer will follow automatically, and you just are applying. And this will be the fastest way to level a Necromancer in the game, is just put it on a console, if you're one person anyway, not like teaming up. But it's actually faster than teaming up on PC or on separate consoles. One console, Necromancer following Druid or any Necromancer or Druid following a fast character like a Sorcerer. That'll be the best for that account by far. So if you're power leveling accounts for people, you kind of need to do this. It'll save you so many hours. But before you go and return your PC copy and buy 2 more copies for console, know that it might require PS Plus or Xbox Live for both of the accounts, but it also might only take 1 game, as long as you have PS Plus that's connected to your Battle.net email. So the price might even out, actually. So that's kind of cool. That's all I've got for you. I hope those 7 tips helped. Come hang out on my Twitch channel, guys. I'm going to be streaming literally every day because it's fun. It's more fun when there's people to talk to. I engage with chat, and I'm happy to answer questions on Twitch. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you got something from it.